Entering a patient in Greenway. When a patient calls for an appointment, you click over here to search for patient. Ask for the patient's date of birth. For example, April 1st, 1954. You can ask for the patient's last name and first name, but be very careful to spell it correctly. For example, if the patient says that he is George Smith, you can ask for the first letters of the last name, SM, and the first letters of the first name, for example, G. In this case, the patient appears to be a new patient. Confirm with the patient that he's not been seen in the office before. If this is the case, then we will create the patient's name, the patient's account. So you ask the exact spelling of the patient's name, S-M-I-T-H, George, G-E-O-R-G-E. This other data you can fit in here, the last name, the first name, the sex, very important to get the sex. And after you enter this name, for our intents and purposes, we will call him test. This will be a test patient. We will click Add New. And if you see over here, it gives us an error message that the Social Security number was not put in the record. I would recommend putting the Social Security number in now before you save it. However, you will have later an opportunity to enter it again once you get to the registration screen. So we will click Yes, and now this patient has been created. We will now go over to Registration Information, and now we have to put in all these fields. Okay. Preferred provider you can generally leave blank unless the patient specifically states that he wants to see one of our providers in our office. But in general, you don't want to use this. Oops. We'll just go back here. All right. So going through these boxes, just some basic things to go through. Make sure the PBM consent box is marked yes. Race and ethnicity boxes and marital status are preferred but not required. Social Security number is preferred but not required. Address is required. Phone number is required. If the preferred communication is cell, make sure to fill in a cell phone number before saving. If it is another phone, home or work, change the preferred communication to appropriate type. Okay. So PBM consent, we will always make that yes. That will allow the physician an opportunity to pull in that patient's medication list to help in his clinical treatment. Okay. You can ask for the preferred service location. Again, this is something that we may want to generally just skip, but our main offices are Cape May, Galloway, Manahawkin, Sewell, Summers Point, or Voorhees. But you can generally leave that field blank unless the patient specifically states otherwise. The last name and first name must be filled in, and we did that already. You can ask for the patient's middle name. Okay. If they have a prefix, you can put it here as well. The date of birth, sex, again, this absolutely needs to be filled in. If the sex is not filled in or the incorrect sex is filled in, when the patient comes to see the doctor, it will waste about 10 minutes of the doctor's time, and he will have to start his note again. Social Security number. Recommend putting it in. Race number 1. Oh, it doesn't like my Social Security number. It still doesn't like my Social Security number. I think that should do it. All right. So you can ask for the patient for the race. If they don't want to put it in, you can leave it as unknown or declined. Okay. Marital status. Again, we can fill that in if you do ask the patient. Okay. The address absolutely does need to go in. 123 Baker Street. And zip code, we'll make up a zip code. All right, when you put the zip code in, it pulls in the rest over here. Okay, you can ask for the patient's home phone, work phone, cell phone, and what they would primarily like to use. Okay, um, and also ask for the preferred communication. If you put in cell phone, whatever number you put in here, you do need to have that number in placed in. All right. Very important, you should always ask for email, okay? Um, and make sure you spell it correctly, okay? Remember, if they give you gmail.com, the com is C-O-M. It's not C-O-M. It's very important. Um, what this will do, this will allow our system to email the patient an invitation to fill out an online web portal. This will allow us to get more information from the patient and will make their visit in our office a little bit, if possibly even a lot faster. Okay? And we're going to want to save that before we move on to insurance information. Oh, and as you see, it wants us to put in an ethnicity. Again, if the patient declines, that's fine. And that's how we save the new patient demographics other than the insurance, which we will cover at a later lecture.